Hey guys, it's Mr. Decker, and we are back once again on code.org. We are in the Computer Science Discoveries curriculum, and we're looking at Lesson 2 of Unit 2, which is the Web Development Unit. We're looking at the Intro to HTML lesson. So let's go ahead and get started, shall we? Welcome to WebLab. The platform you are in is called WebLab. There are three main parts of the screen in WebLab. And those three parts are the file space over here where it says index.html, this middle part where it says, there's not much there that it says, honestly. It just says one, right? There's a number one there where we can start typing our code out. And this is called the workspace here in the middle. Over here on the right, we have the preview area where it's going to show the website that you're working on. This is where you type your code. This is where your files go. Simple as that. All right. So in the workspace, it's asking us to type the name of the navigator, which is me. So my name is Mr. Decker. I'm going to enter down twice for the next line, and I'm supposed to type in my favorite color. My favorite color is blue. And, I need to put a period there. That's good. And then down here on line 5, I'm going to type out my favorite animal. My favorite animal is the fox. The fox is my favorite animal. All right, so now it's not showing up. So step 2, it says to press, refresh, and save to see it in the preview area. So let's hit that refresh and save button. It's over here on the right-hand side. Oh, and it did show up, but everything's on the same line. So I'm sure I have a thinky thought here that we're going to find out later how to separate these lines out like we have it here. But let's finish and continue for now. All right, on bubble 2. Wow, we've got a lot more going on bubble 2 than we had on bubble 1. The workspace is full of stuff. Our website growing leaps and bounds all of a sudden real fast. All right, let's go over this. It says exploring HTML. This is a web page written in HTML, the language of the web. You'll learn more about how it works, but first explore it by using the inspector tool. All right, let's click on the inspector tool. It's this tool right here. It says inspector is off, so let's turn it on. Now it says inspector on. All I had to do was click on that button. You'll know that the inspector tool is on because the button will say inspector on, and lines of code will highlight when you hover over content. Okay, so if I hover over welcome to WebLab, right here, it draws a blue square or a blue outline around welcome to WebLab, and then over here you can see that it's highlighted line 4 in my code where I have an H1 tag and the text welcome to WebLab. All right. And once you turn on the inspector tool, hover over anything, it will highlight the code that's making part of the page appear. Notice that some parts of the code have special tag markers surrounding the words. All right, so we're going to use the inspector tool and try to determine which tag code created the following effects of the website. What code makes the text bigger and bolder? What code? Okay, let's go over it. So over here, right, we're hovering over welcome to WebLab. This H1 tag is a heading tag or a header tag. Heading tag is the way I like to say it. And it's H1. H1 is actually the biggest one, and it goes all the way to 6, at least in the past it has. Welcome to WebLab. This is a web page. Oh, inspector's off again. This, turn it back on and off. On, stay on there, dude. And then this is a web page. I'm hovering over that. On line 5 of my code, I have an H2 tag there. You are looking at an actual web page written in HTML, the language of the web. And over here we've got P tags, or paragraph tags, wrapping that, separating it out. On the left side, you can see the code used by your computer to create this page. And we've got another paragraph tag there on line 7, where it says inspector tool here. We've got an H2 tag, or another heading tag, but an H2 this time, same as this one. So these two are the same size. They're H2. This one's our main header, so that one is an H1. We've got another paragraph here. We've got another H2 heading tag, making discuss look like inspector tool, and this is a web page. And then down here we've got another paragraph tag for line 11 in our code. And then finally we have a list, and we have an unordered list, which you start here on line 12 and end that list on line 15. And you'll notice something important here. Let's just go back up to the top for instance. Hovering over welcome to Web Lab. There we go. Right. The start tag does not contain a slash. The end tag has a slash mark before the title of that tag or the name of the tag to end it. So you have a start tag or a start H1, end H1, if you want to think about it that way. And then for lists, they get a little bit more complex. So you have this start my unordered list tag and this end unordered list tag. And then in between, you have these list item and list end list item, right? Okay, let's move on, shall we? Or did it have anything? Let's actually go back to Bubble 2, read the rest of the directions. Okay, yep, all right, we're good. Nothing else to do here. We just needed to think about it and talk about it, I suppose. All right, adding text to the body. When you start any Web Lab project, it will automatically add the doctype, HTML, head, and body tags to your project. When you add content to your projects, you'll need to do it between the body and end body tags because it should be part of the body of your web page. Another student, Sophia, has already started adding to her web page. She started to add paragraph tags so each sentence would appear on its own line, but hasn't finished. Okay, so step 1 under do this, it says finish adding the start and end paragraph tags to Sophia's code so that each sentence appears on a separate line. All right. And then use the inspector tool to verify that each line appears on its own. So let's turn that inspector tool on. We'll hover over where it says my name is Sophia in the preview area. And we can see over here in the workspace that we have start paragraph and end paragraph typed correctly around my name is Sophia. And that's why that's showing up right over there. And then if we hover over the second line, okay. If we look at line 9 in the code, we have my favorite color is blue. And on line 11, we have my favorite animal is an axolotl. Axolotls are really cool. It says my favorite color is blue and favorite animal is an axolotl, but those are on the same line. So let's get them on separate lines. You can also take a look at what to do under show me how. And here it's showing how to type out those start paragraph and end paragraph tags. All right, so let's go ahead and put our line or put our cursor at the beginning of line 9 before any of that text. And let's start typing our paragraph tags. So start paragraph, and then I'm moving my cursor to the end, just using my mouse. And then /p to end that paragraph. And something to note, these little greater than or less than symbols are on your comma and period keys down on the bottom row of your keyboard, just above the space bar and alt key if you're using a standard keyboard. Let's go ahead and get our start paragraph and end paragraph tags in there. Refresh and save, and everything's looking good. So now if we turn our inspector tool on and we hover over these lines, we'll see it separating out and being correct over here. All right, let's move on to bubble 4. On bubble 4, using paragraph tags, the start paragraph and end paragraph tags, or paragraph start and end tags, are placed around the text to indicate that it is part of a paragraph. Placing text between paragraph start and end tags lets the computer know that it should be treated differently, often just spacing it out from the other text. Under do this, it says On step 1, we're going to click in between the start body and end body tags. This is where you'll add your code. So we'll put our cursor at the end, or put our cursor next to the 7 there on line 7 to start typing. It says create 2 paragraphs that ask a question and answer it. This can be a trivia question, a riddle, a joke. For example, what continent has the largest land mass? Asia. And then place the text you just wrote inside 2 separate paragraphs by surrounding each line with paragraph tags. Okay. I'm going to start with doing the paragraph tags. So on line 7, start paragraph, and we'll type a question. What's a good question? Let's see. What is the tallest mountain in North Carolina? And then we'll end that paragraph with it, or end that line with an end paragraph tag. I'm going to hit enter a couple of times. I like to leave spaces between sections of my code so it looks a little cleaner, and it helps my eyes figure out where I am in the code. So let's do another start paragraph tag. And the tallest mountain in North Carolina is actually Mount Mitchell. And Mount Mitchell is interesting because it is part of the larger Appalachian chain of mountains, but Mount Mitchell, being the tallest mountain in the Appalachian chain, is actually the tallest mountain east of the Rockies. So pretty neat. Mount Mitchell is a very cool, very interesting mountain. And it actually has a tower on top of it, and you can visit it, go up the tower, and get some great views up there. All right. It says, do this, fix the broken code. We're on bubble 5 now, so that the web page displays correctly with each sentence on its own line. Okay, so we're doing a little bit of debugging here. On line 6 in our code, we've got our start paragraph. This sentence should be on its own line, but they didn't put an end paragraph. So let's do that. On the next line, line 7, we've got some pink a pink error notification here, and it's actually telling us that it's on line 7, and it's correct. There is an error here. There's no start paragraph tag. And then what is the problem? Oh, okay. On line 8, it says, what's wrong with this sentence? And we have a incorrect start paragraph, so I just took out that slash mark, and I'm going to add a slash mark over here. And that should fix that. Let's refresh and save and finish this bubble. Moving right along here. All right, bubble 6, we've got some practice levels to complete. Let's go ahead and jump into A, creating paragraphs. Now that we know how to add paragraph tags to our code, let's redo the first level from this lesson and write our own name, favorite color, and favorite animal on separate lines. And then we're going to use, like it says here for step 1, use the paragraph tags to write your name, favorite color, your favorite animal on separate lines. Don't forget to type these between the body tags. Use the inspector tool to verify each line's appearing on its own. So let's start on line 7. Start paragraph tag, my name is Mr. Decker, period. And then we'll end that paragraph tag. I'm going to put my cursor on line 9. We'll do another paragraph tag. This time I'm saying my favorite color is blue. And we'll enter down a couple times. And this paragraph tag, my favorite animal is the fox. And end paragraph tag, just like that. And then if we want to, we can turn the inspector tool on and just check our own work here, that it's all good to go and we've got no pink errors. All right, let's do 6B, alternating stories. Fortunately, unfortunately stories. A fortunately, unfortunately story is a story that starts with an initial sentence and then alternates between sentences that start with fortunately and unfortunately. For example, a man needed to go to the grocery store to buy some milk. Fortunately, he had a car that he could drive to the store. Unfortunately, the car was out of gas. Fortunately, there was a gas station nearby that he could walk to. Unfortunately, the path to the gas station went through a swamp that was infested with crocodiles. Okay. That's quite the trip to the gas station there. Okay, so do this. It says, work with a partner to add alternating sentences to the story below. One person should add the fortunately sentences, and the other person should add the unfortunately sentences. Be sure to use the paragraph tags so that each line appears on a separate line. Repeat this story until it is at least 8 lines long. Goodness. Okay, so right now it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines long, so we need to add 3 more lines. All right. Let's see. Adding sentences to the story below. So let's go ahead and we'll follow along with this little story that's going on here about this guy trying to get to the grocery store. Then he has his car that he's driving, but the car's out of gas. There's a gas station nearby that he can walk to, but the path of the gas station goes through a swamp infested with crocodiles. Okay, so the next line would be a fortunately line. So let's start our paragraph. So fortunately, he remembered he can just use the sidewalk along the road to get to the gas station. Okay. Because I'm sure, right? There's got to be a way to get there without having to walk through a swamp full of crocodiles. It's a gas station, right? It's not just in the middle of the swamp, surely. All right. And then, unfortunately, let's say it was rush hour and there were lots of people crowding the sidewalk. In paragraph. Oops, forgot my slash. There we go. And then I hit enter twice and I'm typing on line 11 now. And fortunately, the man is a former soccer player and was able to dodge all the people on his way to the gas station. Okay. So now we've got 8 lines total, including this up here. So let's go ahead and move on. We'll finish there. And just checking to make sure everything's showing up correctly. That's good. No pink code. That means everything's correct. All right. 6C, pyramid. Use paragraph tags to create a sideways pyramid out of symbols. Okay. Asterisk symbols. Each line of the pyramid should be its own paragraph. All right. Recreate a pyramid out of asterisk symbols that is 5 asterisk long. Be sure to use paragraph tags so each line of the pyramid appears on a separate line. Okay, so over here we have this example that we can look at. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 lines. All right, so let's go ahead and get started over here on line 7. So we'll start our paragraph, put an asterisk, and to make an asterisk on your keyboard, hold down that shift key and then hit your number 8. And then we'll close that paragraph. And we've already got our first one. So let's go ahead. I'm not going to use my old rule about setting this up. So we'll just go line by line, 3 asterisks this time. So this is really just practice with getting these tags in. Start paragraph, 1, 2, 3, 4, end paragraph. Start paragraph, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, end paragraph. And then we will now invert this, do 4. Here we go. We'll do 3 on this line. We're going to do 2 here. End paragraph. And then last line, 1 asterisk here. There we go. And mine looks just like the sample. So nice work, everybody. Let's finish there. We'll finish here. And now we're on bubble 7. Bubble 7 says fixing dialogue. A screenwriter tried to copy and paste their dialogue from a play into a web page, but the formatting got all messed up. Can you separate each piece of dialogue so it's on its own line? Under do this, it says separate the dialogue into separate lines so each person is speaking on their own line. Use the paragraph tags so that each line appears correctly on the website. So right now, all of our lines for this script that our screenwriter has written are all jumbled up together here. And they're also all jumbled up together here. So let's go ahead and separate these out. Manny, aren't you Patrick Starr? Yep, Manny. And this, yep. Okay, he says, yep. And then Manny says, and this is your ID? Patrick says, yep. And Manny says, I found this ID in this wallet. And if that's the case, this must be your wallet. And then Patrick says, that makes sense to me. Then Manny says, then take it. And Patrick says, it's not my wallet. Interesting. All right, so what we've got to do after separating those out is just to put paragraph tags around them. So I'll put a start and an end paragraph tag on each line here. And while it may be a tad bit tedious, in the end, we will like the result because it's going to show up on our website correctly once we have the correct HTML code in here with these paragraph tags. So the important thing is to just keep working until you've finished and the website is looking snazzy. It's always nice to have a snazzy website. All right, so now we have all those lines separated out, and that is way easier to parse out and read, right? Understand what is happening with this script. All right, let's finish. That puts us onto bubble 8, and it says fixing dialogue reflection. Take a minute to reflect on the last level where you were tasked with fixing dialogue and answer the following questions. Number 1, how do you think you did according to the rubric below and why? How did you know how to complete this assessment, and what was easy about the task and what was the most challenging? I will leave answering that up to you guys. Since we're not coding here, that's really not my answer to give. This is your answer to provide because this is all about how you feel about what you've accomplished so far, not how I feel about what we've done so far. All right, let's go ahead and jump into these challenge levels. We'll do all 4 of these, A, B, C, and D. we're going to go ahead and jump into A here, debugging fixed typos. All right, fix the typos. Sometimes mistakes appear in our code because we mistype or misspell something. Try to fix the errors in the code below by fixing the spelling mistakes. Okay, so there are spelling mistakes. Okay, and undo this. Fix the broken code so that the website displays correctly. There are 3 errors. Okay, that's helpful. Compare the problems you fixed with a neighbor. So let's find these 3 errors. Oh, even right here, line 6, this is bod instead of body. So we'll fix that. That's 1 error fixed. On line 7, start paragraph and end paragraph are correct. On line 9, we do have a pink error notification or bug notification. Oh, and it looks like we have a Q here, which should be a P. And then down here on line 12, we have this end HTML line. What's the error here? We have HMTL. Okay. So on line 2, it says HMTL when it should be HTML. All right. Now let's refresh and save and make sure we fixed all the errors. Yep. No more pink code. That's it. Everything's showing up correctly. Those 2 lines. Let's finish there. That's all set with 9A. Let's do 9B, debugging out of order. All right. Even though the preview of this web page looks just fine, all of the code is out of order. This will cause problems later, so it's important everything is formatted and nested correctly. Can we rearrange the code so it's formatted correctly? Sure, we can, of course. All right, so let's rearrange the code using the copy and paste so that the tags are in the correct order and nested correctly using copy and paste. All right, so up here we've got end body, but end body should not be at the top, should it? All right, so let's go ahead and work on this and fix this. The body is in an okay spot. And actually, what I am going to do is we're going to go back to, say, lesson 7, open link in new tab, and then we can go back and forth to see where this code is supposed to be. All right, so HTML at the top. Let's get you up there. So Control C, I'm going to backspace it, put my cursor in front of line 1. I'm going to put HTML there with Control V. All right. And then the end HTML then, Control C, needs to be down at the very bottom. Let's check that against, yep. All right, and then we have head, start head and end head, lines 3 and 5. So let's move those, Control C, Control V. Let's send body down a ways and grab end head, Control C, backspace, line 5, Control V. And then what's out of order right now is body and end body. So let's get body's in a good place, but end body is not. Control C, we'll backspace some here. And then end body we'll put after that last paragraph tag. And that should be it. Oh, nope, I'm forgetting about this doc type. Where does that go? Control C. Let's get all these blank lines out of here. Let's look here. So doc type actually goes at the very, very top, telling the computer this document type is HTML. So now, turn the inspector on. No errors. I think we're good to go. Let's finish that one. Now C, write a poem. Use paragraph tags to write your own poetry with each line separated by a paragraph tag. Okay, now I do like poetry. I love listening to music, and song lyrics are poetry. And I've written quite a bit of poetry over the course of my lifetime thus far. I hope you appreciate poetry as much as I do. Let's see. Write a poem. Use paragraph tags. Write your own poetry with each line separated by paragraph tags. Do this. Write a poem that is at least 5 lines long. Okay. 5 lines. And if you just want to, I wouldn't mind as the teacher because I'm not grading your poetry, I'm grading your code. If you wanted to, you could just use this poem up here or a poem of your choice, but at least 5 lines, right? So let's start a paragraph here. I'm going to write a bad poem with meaning that's meaningful to me. We'll say that. All right. I love computer science so much. And we'll end this paragraph. Start a new one. I love computer science so much. What rhymes with much? I wish someone had taught me such. Again, I already called myself out. It's not going to be the best poem ever, right? Okay. So that's 2 lines. We need at least 5 lines. That's 2 so far. So third line, instead, I had to teach myself and that was very difficult. But I persevered and just kept trying until I was coding so fast it felt like flying. Okay, there you go, folks. There's my coding poem. And I did 6 lines instead of just 5. So let's read it back to ourselves. The beauty that we just wrote. You're welcome for this. I love computer science so much. I wish someone had taught me such. Instead, I had to teach myself, and that was very difficult. But I persevered and just kept trying until I was coding so fast it felt like flying. There you go, folks. Poetry about computer science. All right. ASCII Art. We're on the last challenge. ASCII Art is a type of artwork that just uses keyboard characters to create images. Each image is used as a combination of letters or symbols or a piece of punctuation from the keyboard. Do this. Create your own ASCII art using start paragraph and end paragraph tags to separate the images into separate lines. You could try to draw a design or even just spell your name with ASCII symbols. If in doubt, try creating designs using the asterisk symbol like the stars or mountains or letters. Use the ampersand NBSP semicolon in order to create space between characters in your design. Okay, so what I'm going to do, actually, they've got this bunny up here. I'm going to make that bunny. I'm going to make a bunny. All right, so we'll start a paragraph. Let's go ahead and copy this symbol from up here. So what I'm going to do is highlight this, Control C, and every time I need it now, I'll just throw it down here. I missed the semicolon, didn't I? There we go, Control C, Control V, putting that on line 7 in my first paragraph tag there. And then I'm going to go ahead and start making those bunny ears. So parentheses and then backslash, backslash, underscore, forward slash, forward slash. And then we need to end that paragraph. And there's my bunny ears. Next line, start paragraph, and we'll need to make his face here. It looks like he's got parentheses again. He's got an equals symbol, and then apostrophe, apostrophe, trying to make an apostrophe here. There it is. Apostrophe, period, apostrophe again, equals sign again. Made a plus. Equals sign again. And then let's end that paragraph, and we'll take a look at what this looks like. All right, so we've got the bunny ears, the bunny face, and then down below that we need to put in some bunny feet. All right, so start paragraph tag, and then we need parentheses, we need quotation mark, just like so, and then an underscore, more parentheses, and another quotation mark. And finally, let's put in our end paragraph tag. Perfect. All right. I love it. He's so cute. Okay, so bunny ears, bunny face, and bunny feet, making our bunny. All right, we're going to finish right there. I hope you had as much fun as I did and learned as much as I did today. I hope this helps you with your class or my class, either way. And I will see you next time for the next coding lesson in Unit 2.